So we're about to dive into a pretty unique philosophical take on our automated future. And it's told not by some tech guru, but by a factory worker, one who is replaced by the very machines he used to operate. His story, told through his diary, takes us on this incredible journey, from the cold, sterile factory floor to the rich, living soil of a garden, all in a search for meaning in a world that maybe doesn't seem to need his hands anymore.
And that's him. That's the voice of our narrator. These words, they just set this contemplative, almost haunting tone for what we're about to get into. You can feel that this isn't just a story about losing a job. It's about a loss of meaning, you know? It's a search for purpose when the world has basically decided your physical contribution is obsolete.
Okay, so our journey starts right where he left off, inside that fully automated, humanless place they call a lights-out factory. It's a marvel of perfect production for sure, but it's also a place of profound, echoing silence.
Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. A space that was designed by humans to serve human needs now works best when we're not even there. Any human touch, a dropped tool, a wrong step, is literally an error in the system. We've become ghosts haunting our own machines, just wandering through this perfect ballet of robotic arms that operate in total darkness, a darkness we can't even see in.
And this slide just lays the whole conflict bare, doesn't it? The robotic process is all about hitting that mark with total precision, completely isolated. But it's empty. It's just performing a function. The human gesture, on the other hand, well, that's all about its creative imperfection, its connection to other people. It's not just a function. It has a story.
And this is really where that deep anxiety starts to grow for the narrator. That perfect, humming silence of the factory, it isn't peaceful at all. It's the sound of a void opening up inside you. Because when your physical way of contributing to the world is suddenly gone, you're left with a terrifying question. What is my purpose now?
So this very personal anxiety, it starts to expand into this massive critique of our whole idea of progress. Our narrator forces us to stop and ask, is this sterile, perfect efficiency really the future we want to be building?
Now this comparison is just fascinating. When we look at ancient ruins, we don't see failure or inefficiency, do we? No, we see the marks of human hands. We see the stories of a civilization, of life being lived. But that perfectly preserved factory of the future, it's a monument only to output. There's no human story there. It's like a ruin of the spirit before it's even had a chance to get old.
And it turns out, this feeling of being displaced isn't just some modern anxiety. It actually taps right into a deep philosophical tradition. Existentialism basically teaches that meaning isn't something that's just handed to us. It's something we have to actively create through our choices and our actions. So when the action of work is taken away, we're left with this raw, urgent challenge of creating meaning completely from scratch.
And this is where the story takes a huge turn. He walks away from the cold, hard logic of the machine and turns to the soil. He's looking for a different kind of wisdom now, the logic of the living.
Wow, and this just illustrates the difference so perfectly. A robot, at its core, is a collection of fragile circuits. It follows a rigid algorithm all by itself. But a plant's root system, which is part of this vast underground fungal network called a mycorrhiza, now that's resilient. It's adaptive, and it's deeply, deeply interconnected. It doesn't just run a program, it lives and responds as part of a much bigger whole.
You know, in the garden, there's no such thing as perfect output. Growth is slow, it's messy, it adapts to things you never saw coming. A tree doesn't grow in a perfectly straight line, right? It bends toward the light. And this imperfect, patient process offers such a powerful alternative to the factory's relentless demand for flawless, instant production.
So this brings our narrator to a pretty radical conclusion. In a world that is just rushing towards total, absolute efficiency, maybe the most human thing we can do is to choose deliberate, meaningful inefficiency.
Just look at these examples. None of them are the fastest way to get something done. You can buy vegetables at the store, you can 3D print a pot, you can microwave a meal in minutes. But choosing to engage in the slow, manual process, that focused gesture of a martial art, the patient stroke of calligraphy, that's an act of restoring meaning. It's choosing effort, not for productivity, but for your own well-being. And this is so important. These activities are often communal. You garden with your neighbors, you practice martial arts in a dojo, you share a slow-cooked meal with your family. This is how we start to rebuild those physical, face-to-face community bonds that get so frayed when our work becomes this isolated digital task we do alone.
All right, so we finally arrive at the last and I think most beautiful realization of this whole journey. What is it that truly fundamentally separates us from the perfect machines we've built?
And right here, we find the answer. A machine can churn out 1,000 flawless pots, but it will never, ever experience the feeling of the clay between its fingers, the focus of the hands, or the sheer satisfaction of creating something from nothing. The real value isn't just in the object. It's embedded in the human process, in the poetry of the gesture itself.
What this means is we have to stop seeing our flaws as errors that need to be optimized away. That slight wobble in a hand-thrown pot, the unique character in a calligrapher's brushstroke, that is our human signature. It's the tangible, physical proof that a person was here, that a life was lived in the making of this thing.
And that, right there, is the question this diary leaves us with. As we keep building a world that needs our labor less and less, we have to decide what we value more, the perfection of the product or the meaning we find in the imperfect human touch that creates it. What are we going to choose to hold on to?